seated right now in one of the sections of the Tinsley Building in downtown Springfield, the corner of 6th and Adams Street. In the 1960s, when the second and third stories of this three-story building were restored, Lincoln's offices were misplaced because of folklore. And for around 30 years, people have visited this historic site, and they've been going to the third floor corner office. It just seems appropriate that a man who would one day be president would have an office location where he could look out across one set of windows and see the most famous hotel in town and keep his finger on the social pulse of the city and look out another set of windows from that corner location and view the new Capitol building. And we have new evidence today that says that that's just not accurate. The myths and the slogans and things like that, sometimes those were part of other people. For instance, if you come to the old state capitol, you'll learn about Richard Oglesby. He's the person who came up with the idea of the rail splitter indicator when Lincoln was announced at the state convention. That's where that came from. So when people come to these sites and they ask good questions and hear interpretation and learn more about the background, they can understand a little bit more about the context that some of those myths have arisen from. A lot of people come to Springfield and they leave only having imagined Lincoln, and that's a real shame. You have to imagine other people like Lyman Trumbull, who went to the Senate in 1854 instead of Abraham Lincoln. They were in that race together, but it's Lyman Trumbull who moves forward. Later on, that proves to be a very important ally when we start discussing things like the 13th Amendment. Those are interesting situations, interesting political scenarios that Lincoln is a part of. He's not the whole picture. The goal in history is to strive toward the truth as much as we can, and we have to acknowledge that we can never be there at the complete understanding of the truth. But that's the goal, and it should be a continual process. And from our point of view, as the stewards of these historic sites, our goal is to never stop the research, to continue to understand the myth and the reality of Lincoln's life and times and how we should interpret them accurately. We try to provide interpretation and education about Lincoln through some of the people who lived and worked around him. And I think that informs us how we understand presidential candidates in the present and in the future. Let's take a look at their hometowns. Let's take a look at the jobs, the occupations that they might have been engaged in high school and in college, and how did that have an impact on a presidential candidate? And I think we will find insights, I hope we find insights into some of their policy stances.